Islam. So I'm going to continue. This is part 2 of January the 7th, 2022. So getting back, so I was talking about how the black male was going around Burger King that had the army emblem on the back of his truck, singing how we're going to get this soul, and how no one, I was still new to Burger King and Annapolis, so I was just surprised that the managers didn't say quiet down. Are you okay? And then when he stood in front of Khalid Muhammad Abdullah, I think that's his name, I'm not sure, and was singing in front of him, and he didn't back away, he didn't say, "Are you okay, sir?" Nothing. He just smiled like this. So to me, as a spiritual woman who has grown in spirituality, I definitely find that today I'm being spiritual. So the purpose, the thing is, what I'm saying is, what would be a reason for a black male that possibly was in the army or still in the army to feel the need to sing and announce for a while in a restaurant, people consider it fast food, how he is going to get a soul? The soul, S-O-U-L, is connected to some spirit in reference to those who study spirituality. Because can you see a soul? Islam is like, unless you have your third eye, where you might be in advanced spirit, where you might say you can see aspects of the soul. Can you see a spirit? Islam, unless you are advanced, and you might can see a spirit. So I'm getting back to how the military, the United States Navy military, have to 9 times out of 10 have some knowledge of reference to spirits, unclean spirits and unnatural spirits and clean spirits. So how would a male that represent or imply to represent the army get a soul? That would be the next question. What would be the procedure that male, I should say, if it is and was in the army or the next branch, maybe a Navy, what would be the procedure of it to get a soul? What will it do? What's the procedure that United States military, Navy, Army, males and females would do to get a soul? So I would think, if going back to the Holy Quran Circle 7, in reference to where the soul rests, because the military, they have different branches, and many military males and females, they have studied Abraham Lincoln's proclamations, Islam. They studied the Oath of Amnesty and Reconstruction, the initial Emancipation Proclamation, the Supplemental Emancipation Proclamation, the Compensated Emancipation Proclamation. They have studied the Hebrew law. They are knowledgeable of religions, different religions and cultures. And so in that, because of, I know some of the steps that Richardson Dingle-Eel and Timothy Dingle-Eel went through to legitimize us as Moors. For example, with Moorish National Bureau of Vital Statistics, that chapter 47 of the Holy Crown Circle 7, verses 9, 10, 11 is what gives that our Bureau of Vital Statistics power. But they had to engage and speak to the military to legitimize. So the military know who we are as Moorish Americans, Islam. So I'm getting to the point, what procedure would a military male, black Negro, okay, I only can say black Negro, African American, black Negro, male and female, unless they claim a nationality and have taken an oath, have affirmed to uphold constitutional laws, or others that have that are in the military, pale skin or Hispanics. What kind of procedure would they go through or do? Tactics. What kind of tactics would they do to get a soul? So, and then the next question would be, when you get a soul, which that would be the mind, in many Moorish teachings, what would you do? What is your, how do you take or get that soul? And why would you think it is okay to violate someone's soul? And you are in the military, which the military is controlled under, supposedly, if they are naturalized, okay, the executive, the commander-in-chief, the president. So those are my thoughts today in reference to spirituality. So, so these, I see Hispanics are in the military, along with the black, Negro, African American. And I only say that because since we've been here, I've experienced too many odd behaviors from those that imply or are in the military, imply to be in the military and represent the military, or are in the military, the Navy and the Army. So, and these behaviors would not correlate to military males and females who have taken an oath or affirmed to uphold the organic constitutional laws. But it does, and I don't know, I'm not accusing, but some of the behaviors definitely correlates to those who have not, and who are being used as chattel property, but have technology, good knowledge, and of spirits, psychological warfare, travel, and so forth. So I don't know. I'm just giving my testimony. For example, the black male going around Burger King singing "How We Gonna Get This Soul." Now, I don't know if he was in the military, but he had the military sticker on the back of his truck. Army. And then I would see Hispanics. Once again, I know a little bit of Spanish, you know. So I never, in the South, I never considered Hispanics as being a threat. Never. You know, many people in the South, especially, well, I'm just going to say many, would speak about Mexicans and how they were coming over here, or those that from different parts of South and Central America, and they spoke negative about Mexicans and so forth, and I couldn't understand why. I truly did not understand. I had no, you know, I was very, against conversations in that manner. When that which represent themselves to be supposedly American citizen or citizen of America, I would, and they start speaking about the immigrants that were coming over here in a negative manner, crimes and so forth. Now, I'm going by what I would see on the news. I definitely walk away. Islam, because it's on a physical plane, but my eyesight was not open and to see what I see now on a spiritual level. Islam. And maybe, I can't say all, maybe some of them, they knew. Now, I can't say, now I'm not saying everybody that come over here, however they coming over, is unclean and unnatural spirit that speaks Spanish from Mexico, South and Central America. What I'm saying is that there was probably some in the South when they were speaking about something that they knew in reference to mentalism and spiritual, in reference to unclean, unnatural spirits that were Hispanics, that are Hispanics, that I didn't know about, because I didn't know of a, I definitely didn't spoke about spirituality, and I didn't know of a spirit world. But I think those that were speaking in reference to them, I think some of them knew. And they knew exactly what they're going to be used for. They knew what they were using them for. I think many of them knew. I mean, because it was like all of a sudden out of the blue, some of them would just bring them up, and literally they were very heartfelt about them. And I was offended. I was offended. I was like, I know this person is not talking about, you know, and some of them were pale skinned. I would walk away or just say, I don't want to have this conversation with you. I would be so offended. Or sometimes I even would bring up African American experiences and so forth. I was so offended. Now, Islam, I can see possibly, because the spirit is, Allah is great. I think some of them knew. And they were voicing their opinion. Maybe they were experiencing spiritual attacks, because on my beliefs, we are among a telepathic world. A telepathic world. And I think some of them knew, but they felt like they couldn't speak but so much. And some of them was venting, because they knew what they were using them for. And they knew a lot of us did not know still. We had no idea. That's what I think. They knew a lot of us did not know what was going on. And they would see the TV displaying a victim energy, or sometimes not victim. Sometimes it was totally different. Like they were saying they're closing the borders. Sometimes they will say this, they're not closing the borders. I mean, or make it seem like they're being victimized. So it was the TV, the media going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like right now, they're talking about sex trafficking and how the children are being used in sex trafficking rings that are coming over here and crossing the borders illegally. So I think because in the South, yes, there were racist, or not racist, excuse me, because my definition of racism is different. There were pale skins, yes, who despise melanated beings. Yes, there were. I grew up around them. But I remember there was an energy. And I just could not, I felt it, but I didn't understand what I was feeling. Some of them knowing something, but I just didn't know, I just automatically, when you start speaking about somebody in a prejudiced manner, in those times with me, my wall went straight up. I didn't want to hear nothing else you had to say. As long you start using one thoughts, one focus, the Mexican, my wall went whoop. And I just started, I started speaking about the African American. I might say, well, black people, we were enslaved for 400 years. My ancestors bled, and we had not eaten. Islam. But now, Islam, Allah is great. I am telling you, Sheikh Dwayne Bafabay, my Moorish American Nation family, I think some of them knew. They knew we were among a telepathic world. They knew unclean spirits were being used to send sharp pains, unclean, unnatural spirits, and to cause masses to be sick, mentally ill. Manipulation of thoughts. Before, I'm saying this is before I even had an inkling, before my consciousness changed. Islam, I'm telling you, I think I came across some that knew, but they could not voice what they had to say, but they knew. And they knew what they were using them for. And there was some, and not saying Islam, I'm not saying pale skins are not being used to cause pain or that are unclean spirits. You have unclean spirits. These are unclean spirits I'm talking about. The spirit world, spirituality. What I'm saying is what I remember in my testimony in the South, being among an energy that I think knew but could not speak everything. And because my thoughts were still in a program, not on a spiritual and mental level, when I heard anything in reference to melanated people, especially if it sounded prejudiced, my wall went up. I didn't want to hear it. I was very offended. I don't care where they were from. But now I see. So now, because for years I gave testimony about Burger King, I'm hearing someone saying Burger King at Extended Stay America. The doors across the hall slamming, so forth. Just hearing people walk up and down the hall. When I do my prayers, you know, I speak. I usually don't have a conversation besides with the representatives at the desk basic, like there's this guy named Chris. I've had a basic conversation with about the movies and so forth, you know, just basic. But, I know sometimes it seems like somebody's outside the door trying to listen or record. Let them, because that is harassment. It has been harassment. It's been harassment for years. So whoever's doing it, I want them to know, I know now they have been harassing. If it ever comes up, it has been harassment for years. Because it's too much connection in Annapolis. Too much connections with words that people say, whether I'm at the post office, Islam, Burger King, Islam, and Whole Foods, Islam, walking, Islam. Too many connections and in my small little area of walking and what I do on my day-to-day life. Imani Gray Bay and I, Rhonda Arrington-Bey, we don't know anyone personally here in Annapolis, Maryland. Nor have we implied that we want to get to know anyone personally here in Annapolis, Maryland. Harassment is connected to acts of terrorism. That's a thought I'm using. Harassment is connected to acts of terrorism. I'm using a thought again. I'm going to use this thought. I don't mind using thoughts because I definitely, thoughts appear. I study thoughts. I study my thoughts, and when people, what they speak, their behavior, they're demonstrating a thought, usually. If it's not their thought, whatever's controlling it, whatever's possessing that male or female, is someone's thought. It's a thought. Usually. So unless it's even if it's a robot, you press a button, you want to jump up and down, whoever pressed that button had a thought to press the button so the robot can jump up and down. So even in reference to African Americans. Of course, in the South, getting back, once again, I would come across pale skins saying that there are two different types of African Americans. Islam, they would say, is right. And now, I'm just telling you this, as a woman in the status at that time, African American, I was so offended. I was so offended and be upset because I was like, they are actually trying to make it seem like because I'm not dressed in a certain way or some, that sort of thing, or they might come across pale skins. I grew up around a lot of pale skins in the area where I grew up, a lot of pale skins. So, or if a complimenting me on how I took care of my children, that so forth. So they would say there are two different types of African Americans. After that, I would be so offended. And some of them be looking like this. It's like they were looking to get a response, see the response, and there was, sometimes, I'm telling you, that they knew. Some of them knew. Some of them knew Islam. That we are among unclean, unnatural spirits and bodies of African Americans, black, Negro. They knew. There's no doubt in my mind, I was among some that were pale-skinned or looked to be pale-skinned that knew. That we were among a difference, a species of unclean spirits. And they were trying to communicate according to that stereotype, what people would call racist whites, in their own manner. They were trying to use that stereotype, but yet communicate. All right, this is 30 minutes in my workout. I'm gonna come back here tomorrow.